you guys want to get to know us a little bit more, tell a few stories, um, things like that. So get started. Nathan Monday says, "What's your favorite caliber or an odd or unique rifle?" Um, Mike, what's your favorite caliber?
22.
Okay, hunting everything with 22.
Not everything, small game. For big game, I've got my 30-06, but I prefer 25.
25-06.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that actually is kind of odd, or what I would consider odd.
Yes, sir.
My favorite caliber for squirrels, 22 Magnum. You guys that watch this all know I'm a huge Magnum fan. Uh, Other favorite calibers, I really like a 45-70. Um, as far as like a tactical platform, I've really fallen in love with a 6.5 Grendel. Um, it's just a really good. We're not going to get super tactical on bushy tail down, but for you guys that know 6.5 Grendel, you'll know why. And for those of you that don't, you should look it up. That leads us to odd or unique rifle. Odd or unique is kind of a question that, I mean, each person may not consider something unique where someone else does. But what do you got? Anything odd or unique that you really like?
Not really.
Okay. I don't. I can't think of anything odd or unique that I'm like, man, I'm dying for that. I do enjoy watching videos, YouTube or other, about some of the World War II guns that were invented or created during the war for certain purposes. Um, but I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that is odd or unique that that I would like to own or that I would like to. I mean, I'd like to shoot everything. Um, so I guess we're just not odd. I mean, he's probably odd, but odd or unique um, rifle shooters. Um, Nathan, I hope that answers satisfactorily that question. Bert, I think your last name's pronounced Mescal. Any good crock pot recipes?
Yes, sir.
Well, let's hear your recipe.
I like chili,
Okay.
but I like it to go a couple of days ahead of time for you eat it.
Just slow cook.
Slow cook it. Squirrel noodles. You add your noodles right there at the end.
Okay, so you doing squirrel noodles like a chicken noodle soup, but with squirrel, or are you doing something different?
I don't know, just about the same as you would chicken noodle soup.
Okay. Okay. I actually haven't tried squirrel and noodles.
Oh, it's delicious.
Oh, I bet it would be. My
Mm-hmm.
dad always liked turtle noodle soup.
Oh, that's good too.
We used to kill a lot of turtles and make.
Yes, sir.
I haven't ever tried it with squirrels.
It's not bad.
Uh, Crock pot recipes for me, no, I don't really do a lot of crock pot cooking for wild game. I think my favorite recipe for squirrels is just squirrel and dumplings. Um, yeah, my wife doesn't like dumplings either. Me, I like some dumplings. Like this section here is all soggy bread. So, um, yeah, I think that's like there are other things that squirrel and gravy that your wife made
Oh,
here a while
yes.
back. Now that was
Oh,
real
yes.
good. That was
Well,
very
that's
good.
one of our standards. I mean, the chili, squirrel and gravy and biscuits. Um, we do a one pot squirrel
Hmm.
dinner that's really good.
I like it. I like it. Um, I got some questions that I didn't really thought I'd ask Mike, and Mike wanted to ask me to see what just things that we hadn't ever asked each other before. You've heard my story of how I got into squirrel hunting.
Yes, sir.
Um, when did you know that this was something that you liked? That this was something that you were going to be passionate about?
Day I was born.
I could see that with you.
Oh, yeah. I cut my teeth on squirrel. I'd rather shoot squirrels than I would anything else.
No, I agree there. I mean, last season
Anybody can go sit in a tree and kill a deer. Anybody can go kill ducks. Now, you want to impress me? thread a 22 bullet through these leafy trees.
Well, not anybody can hunt ducks. I don't want to hunt ducks. I don't want to get out there and some of that. You duck hunters, some of you guys do some crazy stuff as far as weather and all. Um, and interesting to note, you will always know who the duck hunters are.
You know the quackheads.
They're right there with the CrossFitters because they have to tell you, hey, bro, you CrossFit? Hey, bro, you duck hunt? You guys know what I'm talking about. Mike, favorite gun to hunt with? Doesn't have to be squirrel related. Favorite gun to hunt with?
20 gauge shotgun.
Any specific or just that 20 gauge?
It just depends on the feel of the gun. Like I've got a 20 gauge pump. I quit hunting with it when I got my over and under.
Okay.
I like the feel of the over and under. It fits me better. It just part of my arm.
Okay. I don't know if I have a favorite. For squirrels, I do like my 22 mags. For deer, most recently, well, for the past several years, I've hunted with a 45-70. I don't necessarily know if I've got a favorite gun to hunt with. But those are probably my big two right now. My two different 22 mags and then my 45-70. Mike, you wanted to ask me, what do you do on your off time?
Yep. What do you do?
What do you do when you're not hunting? Well, I got 6 kids, so I stay pretty busy.
Yes, sir.
In between that time from February to May, when there's no hunting seasons and really not a whole lot of fishing going on, for me anyways, I actually don't know what I do. I know I stay busy. I know I do, we bought the acreage, so there's always work to do there. But I don't think I have a specific routine.
What do you do to gear up?
Oh, I'm always geared up.
You're never completely geared. There's always something you.
No. Whenever we're getting ready to go squirrel hunt, I'm always ready to go squirrel hunt. I don't have to get. There's no in the mood for that
no.
for me.
No.
It's a nonstop thing. Don't really like the heat. It's been pretty hot here lately, but I mean, I still showed up when he was like, "Hey, be here at 5:30." I was there at 6:10. That's right. That's right. You guys that watch this that know me personally will understand about my time issues over the last few years. Mike says that I can't deer hunt with him because I can't be on time. But he's also figured out that if he wants me there at 7 to tell me to be there at 6 so that I'll be there about 6:40ish. So, what about you? Off time?
Always shooting my guns, trying to fine tune.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
That's my time. From February to May, I do a little turkey hunting. Of course, I fish.
Mm-hmm.
I got my pond that I fish in or the lake.
Right.
But usually I'm just shooting. I like to set up and, like here, before I got my cows, I'd set up and make hard shots.
Uh-huh.
So I can get used to making them shots.
Yeah, that actually, now that you say that, as usual, we didn't rehearse. Got some good outtakes, but didn't rehearse. Now that you say that, it seems like I try out a lot of new guns in March.
Mm-hmm. That's when I like to try ammunition. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I could see that as well. I know that a lot of the shooting videos that get made on our place, they get made in the wintertime. And not even November, December. A lot of those are made, February through April. So I'm with you. I do a lot of shooting. I do try out. It seems like I try out a lot of the new guns about that time of year. I guess I've just never really thought that that's my off time thing. I've never thought about it like that. But since you brought that up, that's absolutely my my off time routine. Mike, did you ever think you'd be in front of a camera talking about squirrel hunting?
Oh no, never, never, not me.
So I was telling my wife this yesterday, but I remember when I got the idea for this. It was a long, long time ago. I wasn't even a paramedic yet. I was working up north as an EMT. So you're talking, as an EMT for 4 years before I became a medic. So you're looking at the 15-year ago-ish time frame. And I started Bushy Tail Down about 8 years ago or so. So, years before I actually built a website, I was thinking about this idea. And I remember working with a guy that was a big hunter as well. That off camera, I've got some stories that you'd love about this dude. Jamie, I love you. You're a great guy. All the stories I tell, I promise, will be positive. But we were talking about, doing this on camera and hunting and stuff. So I actually had the idea years upon years ago, but it took a long time to get to this level. And this level is, we're barely scratching the surface for now, but that's going to change with all your all's help.
Yes, it will. Yeah, I'd thought about recording though my hunts for years.
Yeah. It's always a thing, like back when VHS tapes were a thing, right? I had this collection of hunting videos. Most of them were deer because people didn't, even today, the small game community is not well served. We're hoping to stop that, or at least help that out some. But the deer hunting videos, Bill Jordan's Real Tree Outdoors and the Primos, I had all these series and I would watch them with my grandpa. Like those, you had those ideas of maybe I could do this, maybe, and my brother actually, we decided to record a goose hunt one time, and this is back when you actually had to put the VHS tape in the camera. So this camera is freaking huge, and it did not work out like most of the harebrained schemes that my brother has concocted over the years. I'll have to tell you guys someday about the ice fishing trip that we took. That was hilarious. But anyway, so yeah, like you, it's always been an idea. It's always been in the back of my head. Always been in the back of your head, but
always.
Did I ever think that this was going to be what I dedicated my time to? No. Honestly, I never thought about retiring as a paramedic, or that was not what was on my mind. But when that moment happened, after COVID, and I couldn't be a paramedic anymore, let's squirrel hunt, and let's squirrel hunt just as much as we can, and let's do this thing. So,
well, when I first met you, I didn't think we'd be this far.
Yeah.
I really didn't. Look at me now. I got cameras that I put on my guns.
Yeah.
I'm recording my hunts.
Yep.
What I wanted to do to start with, I just wish they had better technology for cameras. But
yeah, we've come a long ways, but some of the cameras, they still leave a lot to be desired.
Yeah, they do.
But yeah, who'd have thunk it, right? From a chance meeting at a gun show,
over a 22.
Over 20, yes. Yeah.
If I remember right, it was a Marlin 60.
I don't even remember.
I'm thinking that's what it was.
I don't even remember what gun it was.
Oh, I almost always remember my guns.
Yeah, but just a freak chance meeting, and this is it. That's actually pretty cool. That's probably one of the coolest stories I've got for how did you meet one of your friends ever. Yeah, I bumped into this random dude at a gun show.
And we started talking about squirrel.
Got a favorite spot?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. What makes it your favorite spot? What's special about it?
Squirrels are there. It just, each spot I go to, I got a few spots that I really like. The food source, people don't go there; they leave me alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of what I like squirrel hunting. But my favorite spots, like I said, the food source, the water there, they're always there. I know they will be. I have my secret little honey holes, just like all of us.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it depends on time of year for me to which one I'm going to.
Yeah, I definitely have some that throughout the year will change.
Yep.
Naturally, food sources, things like that. I do have one spot in particular. It's nothing special. I mean, there's food sources, there's uh, everything else that's around, but there's a lot of good memories that have been made there. Um, and whenever I think about that spot or I go to that spot to hunt, it's it's just a very positive thing. And I've killed some of the biggest fox squirrels I've ever killed out of that spot. Doesn't seem like doesn't seem like there's as many squirrels at that spot as the place that we hunt by my place.
Mm-hmm.
It's just loaded with squirrels, but it doesn't seem like they're very big. And my favorite spot, I don't think there's as many, but they're huge. They're just
Huge.
big squirrels, just big squirrels. Um, what's the longest shot you've taken successfully? Well, let's do this on a squirrel.
80 yards,
Okay. What gun?
22. 22 short.
22 short.
Yes, sir.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Um, my longest, you were actually there for uh, Memorial Day weekend when I killed those two. Um, was that about 60 yards or so?
Probably pretty close
Yeah.
to it.
I don't usually shoot that far. But it was a shot that like I had to torque my body around, and it wasn't a very comfortable shot,
It didn't look comfortable, that's for sure.
but it was successful.
Yes, it was.
Both of those squirrels, they dropped,
Yes, sir.
and they'll taste good. They're still in the freezer. Um, how about the longest shot you've successfully taken not hunting?
100 yards.
Really? Just 100?
Yeah, just 100. I've never pushed my 22 any further.
Okay, what about with a non 22?
Mm, 6.
Okay. What was that with?
30 out 6.
All right. So I've shot some 223s at the 300-yard range, um, but I've actually shot my 45-70 successfully about 400. 300, anything from about 50 yards to 300, I can duplicate. So I can. After the 4 mark, it gets a little iffy. I did make a shot farther than that. Um, it was in the 450 to 5 range, but I don't actually think that I could do that again. And it was open sights. There was a shooting competition that me and a buddy were thinking about doing, so we were seeing what if we could actually do some of these shots. So that's, I mean, honestly, I don't care what gun you're using. I think that 400 yards open sights is a pretty good shot.
I wouldn't try it.
Yeah. But so now we're gonna come to a really fun question that you wanted to know. Most memorable hunt. I actually have two.
Same with me.
So the first one is not a specific hunt, but a group of hunts. Um, I grew up. My grandfather raised beagles, and we rabbit hunted a ton. We raised and trained in beagles, and we rabbit hunted a ton. And those hunts with him and my dad, and my brother, and all of us, there were a bunch of us that went out. Those rabbit hunting trips with the beagles are probably some of the greatest memories hunting wise I've ever had. Um, save for one. This is the story that I love to tell the most. Okay. My oldest daughter, deer season. It was the youth season. And we're up on this hillside where it takes forever to get to. It's a tough hike to get to it. And my dad took my oldest son and I took my oldest daughter. And we were both on the same hillside, separated of course. So my daughter is getting cold. It's not very late in the morning. I mean, it's probably maybe 40 minutes after daylight. So we're still really early, right? And she's always been the one that has liked to hunt, but has never been real serious with it. And he has always been the one that is really serious. So, in order to keep her out, to let him hunt more, because if we were going to go back to the truck, then we were actually going to have to walk past my dad and son. It was going to ruin their hunt. And I really wasn't, they had never done deer drives or anything like that. So I forget how old they were. I think she was 12 maybe. Um, so I wanted to keep her out as much as we could. But she's like, Dad, I'm really cold. I'm really cold. So what do? Conservation guys. I'll deny it. We built a little fire. And it's just a little itty bitty fire, right? And I remember I've got my legs wrapped around. I've got leaves and stuff cleared back. And I'm just putting little sticks on. The flames are no more than that. And she's just holding her hands and she's smiling. She's getting warm, And I'm like, at this point, we're not even whispering anymore because I've got a fire going. We're not going to see any deer, right? We're just trying to keep her in the woods as long as we can to give everybody else a chance to hunt. So we hit that point, and she says, that she's ready to go home. And I'm like, okay, it's been time. So we put out the fire, covered in dirt. We take water bottles, and we soaked the crap out of it. And so she gets up. I hold the gun. She gets up, and then I give her the gun so that I can get up. And when I get up, I am bent over, trying to get up, and I look up, and there's a deer. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And I'm like, hey, deer, And so she sees the deer, and she's trying to get it off safety, and I actually clicked it off safety for her, and I'm trying to I don't want to move, but at the same time I'm bent over, and things are starting to get uncomfortable. And she's like, "Can I shoot it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a deer, and there's no it's youth season, so she got a tag for whatever she wants to kill." And so there's just this one lone deer, and I swear it turns broadside and paints a "shoot me here" target on itself, right? She gets up, and boom! Well, there's actually 5 deer. We didn't see the other 4. And as soon as she shoots, 2 of them run, 2 of them go this way, go to our right, and then this other deer just kind of bounds off. Now she's using a 223, and I'm like, I didn't know if she had hit it or not, because remember, I'm still kind of bent over. And there's another deer broadside to her. Now it's painting a target on itself, and she's like, can I just shoot that one? And I'm like, no, because I don't know if you've shot this one, and you only have 1 tag. So we actually wait and wait and wait, and now this, the one that's turned broadside to us, it's done painting, and now it's got a neon light, shoot me here, shoot me here. So I've watched the one that she shot at, and by now I figured out that it's not hurt or anything. She totally missed it. So I'm like, yeah, go ahead and shoot that. So this time she gets real good and comfortable and fires 1 shot, boom, and it drops. And she killed her first deer. And that's the story of me building a really little fire to keep a 12-year-old.
The things we do as parents.
Right? not squirrel related, but I think that's my I think that's the story I tell the most for
Well,
most memorable.
I got two of them,
Let's hear them.
and both of them happens to do with my son.
Okay.
First one, he was, I don't know, 6. Took him. He went with me everywhere I went when he was younger. Went squirrel hunting. Took him. Got to cut his teeth somewhere. Seen a squirrel run up a tree and it's watching us. I tell the boy, I said, walk around the tree. It'll push around to me and I'll
Mm-hmm.
shoot it. Well, the squirrel's watching him circle the tree and inching out on the limb. And when it got out on the limb, I could see it. He was right underneath of it. And I shot the squirrel and it dropped right in the jacket, the hood of his jacket. I thought that boy was going to take off for God knows where. The second one was his first buck that he shot with me. But he let him use his 308, sitting there. And I'm sitting on a bucket. I happen to look up and I tap him on the shoulder. I said, deer. Well, by the time he turns, I can see it's a buck.
Mm-hmm.
He swings around. That rifle barrel's like this far from my knee. It barrels out far enough I wasn't worried about getting shot, but I knew I was going to feel the recoil.
Yes, you were.
Oh, yes,
Yep.
I knew. I'm a good dad. I just gritted my teeth and said, take the shot. But anyway, I watched this deer. He fires. This deer sits down on his haunches. Now, the meantime, why this deer is going down, I'm hearing this bolt work over beside me. I think he's got about every shell ejected out of the gun. I got to shoot him again. I'm like, son, deer don't sit down on their butt. That's a dead deer. It was hilarious. You had to be there.
No, actually, that's a great question. And he's sitting here off camera. We're going to talk to him in a second. But it made me think of I try to tell this story in the most ethical way possible, but there's nothing great and ethical about this story. It's just hilarious and holy crap, did this actually happen? I'm sure you've shot a creature before in an area of its body that you didn't mean to. Something happened, like squirrels. I know that we both try to do headshots, but sometimes things happen and it's just not possible. Bullet hits a twig, or you're contorted too much, or doesn't show its head to you enough, or whatever the case may be. You ever shot a deer in the knees?
Not the knee, but the hoof.
Okay, so I did once. The very first buck I ever killed. I know we're telling deer stories on a squirrel channel.
Oh, yes.
You'll like this one. This is a good one. So I had this gun. It was an SKS, but I had it all pimped out. I was going to be cool, the tactical thing. I was going to deer hunt with it. I put a scope on it, and I did not hunt opening morning because I hadn't got it sighted in all the way. And so we got it sighted in, and that evening I went out and hunted with my dad and my uncle, and I killed a deer. And this deer was probably the closest I've ever been to a deer in my life. I heard it at the same time that it either heard or saw or smelled me. And so I have the gun on my lap, right? And I'm like, I think there's a deer walking. And I look to my left, and no joke, about 5 feet away, it wraps its head around a tree and looks at me to the right. And so we're like staring eye to eye. And I know you've stared eye to eye at a deer before.
Oh, yes.
And it's like, the staring contest, who's going to blink first?
Yep.
And you're like, I know the deer's going to win, but I'm going to hold out just as long as I can, right?
Yes, sir.
So on an SKS, the safety is a little lever, and it's right down by my hand, and I can move it, and where the deer is, it's not going to see it or hear it or anything. So I am moving the safety lever off, and because I'm going to wait for it to, eventually it's either going to say that I'm human and it wants to run away and I won't get a shot, or it's going to say everything's okay and it's going to bound off or something. So while it's still trying to make up its mind what it's looking at, I get my safety off. And I think that I've got the safety lever in the position where it's off. So I let it go, but I don't. And it's the loudest click you'll ever hear in your life.
Oh, I know.
And that deer just perks up, kind of like a dog does. And you could see this deer like, oh crap, look in its face, right? And it takes these 2 bounds and then turns broadside to me. And in those 2 bounds, it gives me enough time to get my gun up. And so when it turns broadside, man, I've got a great shot. And I pull the trigger, and the gun goes off, but the deer doesn't fall. I thought maybe I had missed it, maybe, because I'm nervous. It's my first buck.
Yeah.
I had killed a doe before, but I had never been able to see a buck. So after I shoot, it takes 2 more bounds and turns broadside the other way to me. And this time, man, I'm good. So I shoot, I get a good, aim, and I shoot, and it just drops. And I'm like, you're a teenager, you killed your first buck, you're excited, right?
Yes, sir.
So my dad comes down the hill, and because he's heard me shoot twice now, and I'm like, I got a deer, it's laying over there. So we go walk over to start field dressing it, and we can't, like, it fell behind some bushes, so we can't see it from where we're standing, but I know it's there. Well, it gets up and sits on its butt and just looks at us. I'm like, what in the world? Of course, I don't know what's going on. So my dad thinks that I've shot it in its back, right? So we ended up killing the deer, and this time it was a nice ethical shot. And when we get up to it, we realized that one bullet had taken out both of its back knees. So when I was shooting the gun to sight it in, what I didn't know was each spent cartridge was coming up and hitting the scope. So it was knocking the zero off every single time, and I had no idea. So there's my story of shooting a deer in its knees. That's probably my dad's favorite story to tell. So, but now I got to ask him. All right, he's off camera, sitting next to us. How old were you when the squirrel fell in your?
6.
6.
That was the most funniest hunt I ever had in my life.
What were you thinking? I have never had a squirrel fall on me after it's been shot. So honestly, what were you thinking? What was that like?
My dad was getting revenge.
Oh, I know the look on his face. I got to see it firsthand. I think there was a couple of movements going on.
Yeah, a couple movements.
I was hoping not, but I'm sure there had to be.
Yeah, Dad, we just had a movement, all right.
Yeah, we did. The funniest part about that thing was still rolling around. I popped it in its head, so it's still flopping. And here it is stuck in his hood. I'm trying to get to him so I can get the squirrel out, but it's hard to get somewhere when you're laughing.
It's like a Ray Stevens song,
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, as always, thanks for watching. We hope that this has been informative and educational and funny. I know I have already thought about some more hunting stories that I could tell.
Oh, I got a ton of them.
So, like, subscribe, tell all your friends, tell your uncles, brothers, cousins, roommates, dog, get them to all subscribe and watch. And we'll see you next time. Thanks again.
Like bushy tail down, son. Or squirrely mites. That's what it ought to be.